Are now continuing public comment, and the next card I have is Norm Pino, and he has represents a group, so he has 10 minutes to talk.
Thank you very much. My name is Norm Luppino, and I represent the Whitfield Ballantyne Association. For my background, I have a master's degree in urban planning. I've been an urban planner for 25 years, and I've been a licensed realtor in the state of Florida since 2011. Issues with the proposed project. It's more than just a mathematical calculation. The limitation of size doesn't matter. What does matter are two things. They're redistributing non-residential densities across the entire site, and they're introducing the potential for commercial uses on the eastern two-thirds of the site, which is now restricted to low-density residential. We don't care if they put a assisted living facility. We'd love to see one of those. The site is the former drive-in church that was built in the early 50s. It was successful for about 10-15 years, and as the televangelists came and they were on TV, people quit going to those because they could actually watch them at home. It is part of the Whitfield Estates subdivision that was platted in 1926. Most of the streets and all the lots still exist, with the exception of a small segment of Manatee. It says avenue on here, but it's actually street, from approximately this location to right here, which was vacated in 1955 to accommodate the church, but they did not vacate any of the lots. It's also an integral part of Whitfield Estates, which was the first planned golf course community in Sarasota and Manatee County. And you can look at this and see the scale of this in relationship to Whitfield Estates. It's a big hunk of land. Whitfield Estates is basically everything south of Bowleys Creek. One of the unique things about Whitfield Estates, in addition to its history, is that it is bisected by a 7-lane highway. So it's divided in half, and it's the only neighborhood other than maybe Colony Cove up in Ellington that has a road, 7-lane road, that actually cuts it in half. As a result of that, when the master planning for Whitfield was done, to soften that divide as much as possible, they limited the amount of commercial along US 41. And most of the non-residential is office light. This entire area south of it is office light. And then there's office light on either side of the site, including this property. And that was to soften the division and to help keep our neighborhood as cohesive as possible. They also limited the depth of the corridor, and as you can see, it's a very solid line coming up through here, and it follows Manatee Street. So it's very defined on both sides. This is a more detailed drawing of it. The depth of corridor, as I've circled here, is 270 feet, and that's the entire length of the east side. This shows the property surrounded by, these are duplexes. They provided transitional, it's not a dominant land use, but they did provide a transition between the commercial and office and the single family, but the rest is all single family residential. So in addition to the neighborhood being split down by US 41, if this project is approved for commercial, it's going to split the neighborhood north and south. These are all residents here, and these are all residents here. So it's going to have a profound impact on the entire neighborhood. Several policies were identified in the urban core, or in the staff report. It's in the urban core, urban service area, and the southwest TIF. And they encourage redevelopment and revitalization for the sake of the area's vitality and economic prosperity. That includes residential too, not just commercial. Maintaining and building strong residential neighborhoods is essential to the area's vitality and economic prosperity. We have an abundance of commercial in South County. 41, 15th Street, Cortez, and almost every intersection along 26th, 34th, 53rd is commercial. What we do have in South County is a lack of strong neighborhoods. The neighborhoods have declined considerably in the last 30 years since I've been here. Neighborhoods that were once postcard perfect are now places that people don't want to live. Whitfield Estates is one of the strongest neighborhoods adjacent to US 41 in that corridor. If you drive between Bradenton and Sarasota and look at the neighborhoods, especially east of 41, the neighborhoods are in various states of decline. So, our neighborhood is an asset to this community. Policy 2124 and Policy 2146 talks about urban sprawl, and it specifically says, consider new development when deemed compatible with existing and future development and internal to or contiguous expansions of the built environment. And so they're talking about what the future development is in the area as well as what the existing development is. The rear portion of the property, which they're proposing designating to ROR, is clearly not consistent with the trends to extend the commercial corridor deeper. It's not compatible and is not a logical expansion of the existing or future development. And I'd also like to talk about urban sprawl. We can't stop it because we have growth, but the best way to reduce it is to retain the desirability of your older neighborhoods. Give people an option to live in certain areas, not in different price points. It's especially as a realtor, it's very discouraging for me to go through neighborhoods, show them places. They say, well, you know what, we like the home, but the neighborhood doesn't seem like it's up to our standards. So they move out east. And that happens time and time and time again. You exasperate the problem when you don't retain the residential neighborhoods. Good neighborhoods are very important to the vitality of the community. Also, with the exception of regional shopping and tourist shopping, commercial follows retail. It always has. Think of the development trends east of I-75, University Parkway. The neighborhoods came and then the commercial came. So you have to make land use decisions that adds to and enhances the residential base, not reduce and denigrate it if you want strong commercial. Policy 2112 talks about designating future land uses with existing within existing developed areas where the intensities and densities are compatible with existing development. Once again, the eastern two-thirds of the site abuts res future land use designations to the north, east, and west. Allowing commercial intensities is not consistent with that. Then we have the legislative policy decision that was in the staff report. They have two questions. They're yes, no questions. Is the proposed amendment compatible with the development trends in the area of consideration? And is it compatible with surrounding densities and intensities? The eastern two-thirds of the site of the proposed future land use is not consistent with the future land use designations in the area, and it represents an intrusion into an established, viable residential neighborhood. It is not consistent with the development trends in the area. Going back to this map, this is a site, and you can see the strong division here. And if this property were located on the southern portion of of Whitfield, where you've had industrial changes to industrial and airport, then yes, it may be considered with the consistent with the development trends. But in this area, it's a very strong residential neighborhood around here, and there's no indication that this area here is ever going to change to from commercial to another land use. There is a big contrast between commercial and residential, and I want to just show you this one picture. These are both one-story buildings, and you can see the big commercial building in the back. It's a big blank wall. They provided a buffer. You can see the fence, and there was a hedge, and they provided trees. The hedge in most areas is gone. The trees, after time, they grow up, and you can see right through it. This was a piece of property I marketed in one of Sarasota's most coveted neighborhoods. I'd have open houses. People would drive, stare, back up, and leave. I'd had appointments for other realtors to show it. I get calls, and they say the people don't even want to go inside because of what's back there. The people took a beating because of this contrast in use, and so adding 3 more sides as opposed to 1 in this area is going to have a very profound impact. And there is no one who can guarantee that in 5 years or 10 years, if these people, if the owners come back or if they sell it, that they're going to get enhanced buffers or any land use restrictions. Can I have just 1 more minute, please?
1 minute.
Okay. I just want to close by saying Whitfield Estates is historically significant. It's on the listed in the Florida Master Site File, and there are 16 buildings that are designated on the land use. National Register of Historic Places. Our recommendation is to approve the front portion, which is 270 feet to ROR, and I've designated that graphically, and allow the residential portion on the back to move forward, or to stay as residential. And in answer to Commissioner Whitmore's question earlier to the applicant, the only thing that can be built here without coming back to the Board of County Commissioners is single-family residence on the existing platted lots. The front part is PDO. That would require a plan to come back before you. So that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.